And call right now, 1-800-252-1025. We also take your emails at lifecoach@KZOK.com. You know what? We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we have had nice phone calls back from satisfied customers. They call up having a very serious problem, and then they call me back weeks later saying, you know what, I did what you said to do, and it totally worked out. I got the raise I was looking for. I found out what my husband was up to. Found what my kids were thinking about. So you should give a call right now, 1-800-252-1025. And then again, we'll take your emails at lifecoach@KZOK.com. Hey, Life Coach, brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. What do you got, Sarah?
We're going to start off with an email. And remember, when you call the Life Coach at 800-252-1025, you can change your name or be anonymous if you need to.
Did you call radio stations when you were young?
Sure.
Yeah. I was talking about that with the wife last night. She called she wasn't like a radio station caller like some people are. Like they sit by the phone and try to win contests all the time. But she called. It's a part of life I missed that I feel bad about. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You call and then you wait for them to play your song and then you record it on your tape that you had ready to go.
I record it by push and play and record at the same time. A wonderful part of life.
I remember one of my favorite Christmases that me and my older brothers stayed up really late waiting for Santa Claus when we were in our 20s. Drinking, of course. And we called up the local radio station and we asked to hear Father Christmas from the Kinks. And the guy's like, yeah, sure. And it was on next.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, we were like so happy.
I'll bet that was exciting.
That was the greatest day. And I was a full-fledged adult.
The closest thing I've got to that, because I didn't call radio station, I was the guy on the other hand. They could show sure and then play the Kinks, although the Kinks were Debbie Gibson when I was doing it.
There was also the time where I was too little to be dialing the phone and I called up a radio station and won tickets to lunch with Rick Springfield.
What? Wow, that's still an awesome prize.
And then they said, wait a minute, how old are you? And I'm like, 8. And they hung up on me.
Oh.
I was devastated.
You couldn't lie and say in an 8-year-old's voice, I'm 23?
No. 800-252-1025 is the number to call for Life Coach or email lifecoach@KZOK.com. We're actually going to start with Sarah calling from Bellevue.
Oh, yes, Sarah, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. What can I do for you?
I have a friend that lost his wife of 38 years in December, just before Christmas. And he has kind of gone off the deep end, which I expect to do. He and I had a really nice visit on Friday, and he shared with me that he's really super struggling, that he has turned to alcohol. He says he drinks all the time. He'll sleep like 2-hour increments and then wake up and then just drink and drink and drink until he passes out. And he tried a brief counseling session, a group thing, but it was so religious-based that he just didn't feel like he fit in. And he was asking me if I knew of anywhere, and I thought Danny might know.
Well, you'd be absolutely right, Sarah. I would know. There are grief sites on the website. As a matter of fact, while I'm talking to the lovely Sarah, will you look something up? Just use your imagination, Will, and see if you don't come. Because I was going to recommend some poetry. I know some excellent poetry that deals with death. There are grief sites where you can interact. You know, there are lots of people. There are lots of sites about death. There's some specifically about losing children, which I can't imagine. But yeah, and you don't have to if you don't want. And here's what I would tell your friend, Sarah. And you're a good friend, by the way, to deal with these. I'm sorry, was it he or she?
It's a friend. He's the gentleman. Yeah.
He. Okay, thank you very much. That he can do this from the privacy of his own home in the beginning, because everybody's going to have a pseudonym. Everybody's going to have a nom de plume, if you will. Just because that's kind of the rules of these sites. But after a while, he's going to know people. And if they're going by chance in the same city as he is to these group grief counseling, he'll know somebody when he gets there. But tell him to use his imagination in the beginning to go to grief sites. What did you find, Will?
Counseling.liveperson.com is the first thing that comes up. And
is that counseling.life.com?
Liveperson.com.
But once you get there, because I don't even know what's there, so I'm not recommending that. Although, thank you, Will, for finding that.
There's sites that you can go to and they'll find everything.
He's going to find a dozen sites right away, but he needs to get out and he needs to face people. And the last thing he wants to do is mask this pain with alcohol. I don't know how far in he is and whether he can quit on his own or not. He's going to need counseling about that. And you're, like I said, you're such a good friend, but he needs to go into grief counseling. He needs to feel like he's the commander of that ship so he can do it from home, go to to these sites that are plentiful out there. There's all sorts of books about it. And then when he feels brave enough, he needs to go out and check out these rooms, these people that have lost loved ones and kids and fathers and wives. He's not, and this is what you need to tell him, he's not the only one. And I don't want to trivialize it with this, but you do need to tell him to take a minute to think about it. This too shall pass. Everybody's mom. My mom's 90. Don't tell me my brothers and sisters and I have not considered what's coming next. You got to know this happens. This is how life happens. So deliver him and guide him down these roads that I was telling you about. Stay there, be a great friend for him, and don't let him get consumed in alcohol as well as consumed in the grief. He needs to address the grief and out in public. Thank you, Sarah. I very much appreciate that phone call.
800-252-1025. That's the number to call for Danny Bonaduce, life coach, with any kind of problem you have. He'll be able to help you. You can be anonymous. You can change your name. And if you'd like to, you can also email lifecoach@KZOK.com. We have an email from Confused Lover in Seattle. I've been with my boyfriend for about a year now, and I could not be happier until I looked at his phone. He does not know that I did this, but I saw that he had dinner with his ex, who happens to be much older than him. I'm not threatened, but he liked...
Hang on, let me stop right there for 1 second. Which part of this are you mad about? Because he did want you to know. There's no way, excuse me, there's no way in the world every guy doesn't know that you're going through that phone. He absolutely wanted you to know that. I'm not saying he was being mean and throwing that in your face. Maybe he just wanted to see how you reacted, but every single guy in the world, that's his biggest guarded secret. I had lunch with my ex, and you leave that phone lying around, I call shenanigans, ladies and gentlemen. He wanted you to see that. All right, back to you.
He lied to me about where he was that night. I don't know if I should call him out and have the discussion that could end up breaking us up, which I don't want. But at the same time, I'm 100% faithful and I trust with all my heart. And now I don't know if I can trust him. What should I do?
You can't trust him. He's a liar. He's just proved that. You can't trust this guy. But obviously, you don't have these rules set up yet that he can't go to lunch with his
dinner.
ex.
It's even worse.
Worse. It's whatever it is. It's all bad. But you know what? I don't think these kind of things, you need to negotiate the rules in a relationship. You need to say what you can do and what you can't do. And you don't seem to be like brokenhearted about this. You're not only going, oh my God, and I know they had sex. I think what you need to do is kind of set up the parameters of what's okay with you and what's not, and tell him, because he obviously right now thinks this is okay, and he's doing it to you. Like I said, he was telling you where he was by leaving that phone out. If I were leaving, and I've done this, I was going to say, I'm speaking from experience. Everything I do, I speak from experience. But the fact of the matter is, you know, if you leave that phone out, you're going to go, the new angry and jealous girlfriend is going to go find it and look at it, and you did. He wants you to know. He wants to discuss it and find out what the rules are, because he's failing around right now. Don't break up over it. Don't get rules. Don't get the thing of stuff you already know. He did it. Get used to it. Tell him what he can and can't do, and he'll follow those rules, because I don't think he's trying to cheat on you. I think he's trying to find out what the rules are. Thank you very much for the email.
Lifecoach@KZOK.com. That is the email address, or 800-252-1025. Of course, that is the phone number. Ben in Redmond sent an email. I'm in a long-distance relationship with a girl I started dating while we were in college. When we graduated, we both got jobs in different states. We'll probably get to see each other 3 times a year, and in a couple of years, I'll be able to move closer to her. How can I make sure this will last? I've never felt this way before about somebody, and I don't want to lose her. This is my first long-distance relationship.
Can you give me the first part again? Does it say what school they're in? Not what school, but...
They graduated college. They started the relationship while they were in college, but when they graduated...
Thanks. Unless you're going to beat the odds, you're as good as broken up. You just don't know. I don't mean to be mean, but you're young people. You're finding out what's going on. You're gonna talk to each other. You're gonna see each other those 3 or 4 times that you've got it penciled in at. But then you're going to break up. Somebody's gonna meet somebody new. Excuse me. And somebody's going to meet somebody new and better, and then you're going to break up, and one of you is going to have to talk to the other. Honey, I'm sorry about this, but you were away, and I met this guy or girl. So get ready for it. And, prove me wrong would be nice, although I don't know why I wouldn't be rooting for this. You're young. You need to be out and experiment with the world. Try and keep this going as long as you can, and then don't be all heartbroken when it doesn't work out, because my money's on it's not going to work out. Thank you.
800-252-1025. That's the number to call for Danny Bonaduce, life coach. You can lie about your name. Just remember what lie you've told. And, of course, you can be anonymous if you need to. The next caller is named Allison, and she is calling from Seattle.
Hiya, Allison.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. My daughter's best friend's mother, her father abused her mother last summer, and she was in Harborview for 4 weeks last summer.
4 weeks?
4 weeks, yeah.
What the hell did he do to her in 4 weeks? I mean, I've been in the hospital from car wrecks and gunshots, and I did not on the same night. But yeah. I never saw this inside of a hospital for 4 weeks.
Yes, and now he's back. And so we're confused. We don't know what to do.
Well, and this is your best friend?
My daughter's best friend's mother.
Your daughter's best friend's mother.
Yes.
So what is exactly your question?
Well, they live right behind us, and then my daughter's interactions with, and I just feel like I would like to help her because you feel like it's going to happen again.
Well, I don't think your daughter's in any danger of going over to the Smith's house and getting beat up. I don't think that is going to what's happening. Here's what I think, and shame on me. Maybe I don't have all the information, but here's what I'm going to go with. Kind of shame on the mom if she's going to be that message for your kid. You don't stay. You don't put up with that kind of stuff. You get some counseling. You call the police. Did this guy go to jail?
No, she wouldn't prosecute him. I called the police, but she would not prosecute him.
Okay, if you want to help the mom, go ahead, but that's a different thing that I don't know about. Get your daughter out of that. That's the worst example for a young girl I can imagine. Well, she's not going to go over and visit the Smiths and say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, you beat your wife lately," and "Hi, Mrs. Smith, you stay for the beating and never call the cops." I don't want your daughter anywhere near this guy. I hate this guy.
And how can she help the mother?
Well, that wasn't the call, was it? What was the call, Allison? What information do you want?
I would like to be able to help her. She's in denial, obviously, and
well, there's a million websites and phone numbers. The battered women. She should call them. But did anybody call the cops?
I did. I called King County.
And what did they do?
They wouldn't come out because she wouldn't prosecute him.
Now, I'm usually right about the law on this, and correct me if I'm wrong and anybody knows it. Those days if somebody has to be here to testify and press charges, I thought they were over. If somebody's got marks, everybody's going to jail. That's what I thought. Is that not the case in Washington?
I don't know. It was domestic abuse because at Harborview, they couldn't even bring in the police. I talked to the nurses there, and they were helpless to do anything.
Well, that was the case my whole life growing up, that the battered person, unless somebody's going to sit there and press charges, because I found it remarkable when they said, "Oh, we don't need anybody to testify anymore. We don't need your permission to arrest this guy."
I thought for sure somebody had to go away.
Yeah, so did I. That they changed. That Mrs. Smith did not have to say, "My husband knocked my teeth out," and Mr. Smith still went to jail.
But a lot of times it's a woman in denial, so if this woman isn't ready to get away from this abusive man, what can Allison do to help her?
There's all sorts of, thank you, Sarah, for putting me back on track. There's all sorts of shelters and things like that. Go on the internet, look them up. There's all sorts of, we've been talking a lot about groups around town. There's tons of groups for battered women. There's shelters for battered women with no money. And that's exactly where you should go. But in the beginning, because this is where I got my bun in an uproar, is I don't want your daughter going over. That's such a bad example that the abuser stays home and the wife and the abuser stay together. I don't like it. I would pull your daughter out of there right now. Thanks, Allison. I appreciate the phone call.
Good luck to you, Allison. We've got time for one more caller on Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach.
Okay.
Here's Jake in Duval.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, Danny. How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy?
So, I have an opportunity through college to go study in Germany for a year.
Yeah.
And I'm in a pretty committed relationship with my girlfriend.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
And how old is she?
She is 18.
All right.
And we've been together for about a year and a half, and I told her about this a few days ago, and she's not exactly thrilled about it because, it'd be a year overseas.
Right.
So how do I talk to her about this? She seems rather pissed.
Let's just rule this out. She can't go, right?
Right, she can't.
There's not a scenario where she ends up in Germany.
There isn't.
Okay, good. I'm fine. That's okay with me. Are you going to go?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, you're going to go. You have to go, man. Berlin is knocking at your door. You have no idea what a better and more interesting person you're going to be when you get back. You know what? If it's in the cards, because it's only for a year, she'll be right there. But this is where I'm going to become such a big jerk. No, I don't want to say she's easily replaceable. She's an 18-year-old girl. She's wonderful. I'm sure she's a fascinating kid. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to come back a guy who's traveled the world, man. You're going to become a guy that was in Berlin. I'm just making up Berlin because it's the only city I know really off the top of my head. For Oktoberfest. You're going to be raring to go. So tell her it's well worth the wait, that you'll be honest, you'll be faithful, all the things she wants to know, and be that. Don't break your word. There's no reason to lie and cheat and stuff like that. Tell her whatever she needs to do, feel, and whatever you think is going to be okay, but you absolutely, positively have to go. And that's the part you're going to tell her. You're going to say, I'm 19 years old. I mean, if you look around and look at the statistics, did you know, Jake, and this has been true since, I'm just going to go for 2000 BC until this very day. Did you know that I believe it's 90% of people die within 50 miles of the spot in which they were born? Don't let that be you, Jake. Do not let that, because once you see how easy it is, you're going to go interesting places and meet interesting people for the rest of your life. You're going to count on give her a much more interesting boyfriend. It's a tough time, but she'll get used to it. You'll be back in a year and you'll be a better guy for it. And if she doesn't, it's the relationship was not meant to be. That's what I would tell her. But I'm really glad that at 19 years old, there's no part of the story that he's not going. He's going, and that's what you need to do, Jake. Hey, thank you very much for the call. And tell her to calm down. Everything's going to be great. And we come back, you'll speak German to her, and it'll be all sexy. Although not really one of the sexy languages. Chicks hate that. Good luck, Jake. Thank you very much for calling. That's all the time we have for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach. Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.